Hello everyone, and welcome to your channel. Today, we're diving into an incredibly important topic that can make a world of difference in identifying early signs of dementia. Most of us know the common ones like memory loss, but did you know there are other subtle signs that often go unnoticed? Stick around, because knowing these could help you or someone you love get the care they need early. Dementia affects millions of people worldwide, and early detection can be key to slowing its progression. Let's explore 6 lesser-known early signs of dementia that you might not be aware of. Sign number 1, difficulty finding the right words. Let's talk about our first sign, difficulty finding the right words. This is more than just the occasional tip of the tongue moment we all experience. For someone showing early signs of dementia, this struggle can happen frequently and disrupt their ability to communicate effectively. For instance, they might forget the name of something as common as a watch and instead say, "the thing that tells time on your wrist." Or they might pause in the middle of a sentence, searching for a word they've known their whole life, leading to frustration or even giving up on finishing the thought altogether. You might also notice them substituting words incorrectly. For example, they might call a pen a marker or a knife a spoon. This can cause confusion in conversations, especially when the substituted word doesn't quite fit. The key here is to observe if this happens consistently and not just occasionally. Frequent word-finding difficulties can be an early indicator of damage in the brain areas responsible for language, a hallmark symptom of certain types of dementia, like Alzheimer's. If you notice this in a loved one, try to approach them with patience and support. Sometimes, they might feel embarrassed or frustrated, so staying calm and helping them find the word can go a long way. If this becomes a persistent issue, it's important to consult a healthcare professional for a proper evaluation. Sign number 2, changes in mood or personality. Next on our list is changes in mood or personality. This is one of the more subtle signs and can easily be mistaken for normal emotional ups and downs or even aging. However, when it comes to dementia, these shifts can be dramatic and persistent, often occurring without any obvious reason. For example, someone who is typically easygoing and cheerful may become irritable, anxious, or even suspicious of others. You might notice them reacting strongly to minor inconveniences or becoming unusually sensitive to things that wouldn't have bothered them before. In some cases, the opposite might happen. They might lose interest in activities they once enjoyed, becoming apathetic or withdrawn. Imagine a person who loves socializing or hobbies like gardening or painting suddenly seeming indifferent or reluctant to engage in those activities. Another common change is increased anxiety or paranoia. Someone might feel unsafe in their own home, suspect loved ones of stealing, or fear going out in public. These behaviors often stem from confusion or difficulty understanding their environment. These changes are caused by dementia's impact on the brain regions responsible for emotional regulation, like the frontal lobe. It's not just a bad mood, it's a physiological symptom of the disease. As a caregiver or loved one, it's important to recognize these shifts and approach them with compassion. Avoid arguing or dismissing their feelings. Instead, reassure them and focus on creating a calm and safe environment. And, as always, if you notice persistent changes in mood or personality that don't seem tied to any other cause, consult a healthcare provider for guidance. Sign number 3, loss of interest in hobbies. Sign number 3 is losing interest in hobbies or activities they once loved. This can be one of the hardest changes to spot because it's easy to attribute it to stress, aging, or simply a change in priorities. However, when someone starts disengaging from things that used to bring them joy, it might be more than a temporary phase. It could be an early sign of dementia. For example, let's say your loved one has always been an avid gardener, but now their garden is overgrown, and they don't seem to care. Or maybe they loved knitting, painting, or playing chess, but now their supplies are gathering dust, and they say, "I just don't feel like it anymore." This loss of interest isn't just laziness or boredom, it's often linked to changes in the brain's ability to focus, process enjoyment, or even remember how to carry out these activities. Tasks that once felt effortless may now seem overwhelming or confusing, leading them to avoid these activities altogether. Another aspect to consider is social withdrawal. Someone might stop attending book clubs, family gatherings, or even casual coffee dates. They might claim they're too tired or just don't feel like it, but this lack of motivation can actually be a symptom of apathy, a common feature of early dementia. Apathy occurs when the brain regions responsible for motivation and reward processing are affected. It's not about being lazy, it's a neurological change. So, what can you do? If you notice this, try gently encouraging them to participate in low-pressure versions of their favorite hobbies. For example, if gardening feels overwhelming, suggest they start with a small pot of flowers indoors. Avoid being critical, as this can lead to frustration or embarrassment. And if the behavior persists, don't hesitate to seek advice from a healthcare professional. It could be an early sign of a deeper issue. Remember, staying engaged in hobbies and social activities is essential for overall brain health, so addressing these changes early is incredibly important. Sign number 4, difficulty navigating familiar places. Our fourth sign is difficulty navigating familiar places. Imagine suddenly feeling lost or disoriented in a location you've been to dozens, or even hundreds, of times. For someone experiencing early dementia, this can become a frightening and frequent reality. This sign often starts subtly. Someone might forget the quickest route to their favorite grocery store, take a wrong turn while walking in their neighborhood, or struggle to remember where they parked their car. What's key here is that these aren't new or complicated routes, they're familiar paths that the person used to navigate effortlessly. Over time, this difficulty can extend to places inside their own home. For example, they might forget how to find the bathroom or kitchen, even though they've lived there for years. This disorientation happens because dementia impacts the brain areas responsible for spatial awareness and memory, specifically the hippocampus, which helps us map out and recall environments. Another red flag to watch for is confusion in larger, more chaotic environments, like a shopping mall or airport. They might become overwhelmed and lose their sense of direction much more quickly than before. So, how can you help if you notice this? Start by offering gentle support. If they seem disoriented, don't say things like, "You've been here 1,000 times." Instead, calmly guide them or use tools like visual cues to help them reorient. You might also encourage the use of simple aids, like sticky notes with reminders or a GPS tracking device for safety. If this disorientation happens repeatedly, it's a strong sign that it's time to consult a healthcare professional. Early diagnosis can help ensure they receive the right support and strategies to maintain their independence for as long as possible. Sign number 5, poor judgment in decision-making. Sign number 5 is poor judgment in decision-making. We all make mistakes from time to time, but what sets this apart as a potential early sign of dementia is the frequency and severity of these lapses. These decisions often seem completely out of character for the person and can have significant consequences. For example, they might fall victim to financial scams, something they've never done before. You might notice them giving away large sums of money to strangers, making unnecessary purchases, or repeatedly donating to the same organization without realizing it. Beyond finances, poor judgment can also show up in everyday choices. Someone might dress inappropriately for the weather, like wearing a tank top in freezing temperatures or putting on heavy winter boots in the middle of summer. They might also engage in risky behavior, such as forgetting to turn off the stove or leaving doors unlocked at night. These lapses happen because dementia can impair the frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for critical thinking, problem-solving, and assessing risks. When this area is affected, the ability to weigh options and foresee consequences becomes diminished. It's also common for people with early dementia to neglect personal hygiene or home upkeep. For instance, they might forget to shower regularly, wear the same clothes for days, or let mail and bills pile up unchecked. This isn't laziness, it's often a result of impaired executive function, making it harder for them to plan and carry out tasks. So, how can you help if you notice this? The first step is to approach the situation with empathy. Offer gentle reminders or assistance, like helping them review their finances, set up automatic bill payments, or organize their wardrobe for the season. Avoid being critical, as this can create frustration or shame. If poor judgment becomes frequent or starts to put their safety at risk, it's time to seek professional advice. A healthcare provider can assess what's happening and recommend strategies or resources to support their decision-making abilities while ensuring they remain as independent as possible. Sign number 6, difficulty following conversations or stories. Our sixth sign is difficulty following conversations or stories. This might start as a subtle problem. Maybe they ask you to repeat yourself more often or seem to lose track of what you're saying midway through a conversation. For example, during a group discussion, they might struggle to follow who said what or lose the thread of the conversation altogether. They may even respond with unrelated or repetitive comments because they didn't fully grasp what was being discussed. This difficulty extends to other areas too. They might find it hard to keep up with a TV show or movie plot, asking questions like, "Wait, who's that character?" Or "What just happened?" even after you've explained it multiple times. Similarly, reading a book or an article may become frustrating as they lose track of the story or need to reread paragraphs repeatedly. This happens because dementia can affect the brain's ability to process, store, and retrieve information in real time. Complex tasks like understanding a conversation or following a narrative require multiple cognitive functions: memory, attention, and comprehension, all of which can be impaired in the early stages of the disease. If you notice this sign in a loved one, you can help by slowing down your speech, using simpler sentences, and giving them time to process what's being said. Avoid interrupting or rushing them. It's important to let them respond at their own pace. You might also try summarizing key points in a conversation or using visual aids, like writing down details or showing pictures, to make it easier for them to follow along. If this difficulty persists and starts affecting their daily life, it's crucial to consult a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can lead to interventions that help maintain their communication abilities for as long as possible. Recognizing these early signs can be life-changing. If you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms, don't ignore them. Reach out to a healthcare professional for an evaluation. Early intervention matters. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need this information. Together, we can spread awareness and make a difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.